Have you ever known a person that makes you feel like what you say isn't important? Today I want to share some tips with you on active listening, a skill that will help you win people over and earn the respect of your peers. On this channel I post every weekday to share tips on things like leadership, productivity, and communication, like this video. If you're interested in any of those topics, consider subscribing to get more videos like this one. The other day I needed to get some advice from a coworker on something that was more in his area of expertise than mine. So I go over there, and to set the scene, his desk faces away from the door. So I have to knock on the door to get his attention. So I walk up, I knock on the door, and I walk in, and he greets me as usual. So I start talking to him about the issues that I'm having. And he proceeds to help me through the issue and talk over everything, but without ever turning away from his computer. The entire time, he's clicking away on his computer, continuing what he's working on. So how do you think that made me feel? I was pretty annoyed. So basically, he was telling me with his actions that the work he was doing was more important than helping me with my problem. My coworker failed to actively listen to me. It didn't affect the end result of the work, but it did affect my relationship with him and my respect for him as a coworker. Today, I want to give you 3 tips to help you actively listen to coworkers, family members, anyone you're talking with, to help them feel respected, because in turn, it will actually encourage them to actively listen to you, just naturally. So, tip number 1. Everyone has heard that you should make eye contact while you're talking to people. I'm not going to win any awards by telling you that. This comes naturally to most of us, but very few of us actually do it enough. What I think is more important is paying attention to what you're looking at instead of looking at the person. You should never look at your phone or your computer while someone else is talking to you. That immediately tells them that what they're saying to you is not important. We've all experienced this. We all have that friend that you're sitting down at lunch and they keep checking their phone constantly. It's irritating and it makes you feel like they don't really want to be there with you. That sucks. Don't be that person. In addition to eye contact, another really important skill is how you sit, how you stand, what your posture is when you're talking to someone. That can speak volumes to how interested you are in the conversation. So if I'm sitting back like this and just kind of absorbing what you're saying, or I've got my arm hanging over the chair, it tells you that I'm not very engaged. Now if I lean forward, I've got my hands on the table, it shows that I'm soaking in what you're telling me, I'm interested in what you have to say, and I'm engaged. Now this doesn't come naturally. We always want to sit in our most comfortable position. So a great trick to get yourself into a better posture and leaning toward the person that's talking to you is to sit forward in the chair. So when you sit down in the room, sit on the front half of the chair so that your lower back isn't touching the back of the chair and it doesn't make you want to lean back. So now for the 3rd tip. And this one comes with a story. The other day, I was in a meeting, and it wasn't my meeting, but I ended up being called to share some of my expertise. So I'm walking around the room a bit, and I'm discussing my experience on the subject, when one of my coworkers suddenly stands up out of her seat. So I pause to see what's going on, and she walks over to the whiteboard that I had been using and writes a quote of something that I had just said on the whiteboard, and then quietly goes back to her seat. She didn't say a word. Immediately after that, I felt more respected and appreciated by the entire room. My confidence increased, and my opinion of that coworker improved. A less extreme version of this is to take notes when someone's talking to you. So we're all pretty socially adept, and we can tell when the person that we're talking to feels like they've really driven a point home. And at that moment, take your eyes away from their eyes, take a quick note of what they just said, and then return eye contact. This shows them that you care enough about what they're saying, and you value their opinion so much that you want to write it down so you can save it for later. And now for my last tip. Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand. When we talk with another person, our natural tendency is to want to be heard. But Stephen Covey asserts that you will find more success if you first let the other person explain their point of view and really try to understand deeply why they feel that way. Here's something that helps me do that. I believe that the only reason my opinion differs from someone else's is because my different knowledge, experience, and perspective. And it is this knowledge, experience, and perspective that creates the lens and the filter that I see the world through. And it's similar with the other person. They just have a different lens that they're seeing the world through. So it's my job to understand their lens and why they feel the way they do. Because this difference in lenses is why we come up with different solutions to the same challenge. In reality, there is not usually a clear right and wrong answer. Typically, it's a matter of us sharing our experience and perspective and coming to a middle ground, or finding that one of us has a better solution than the other. As soon as we seek to understand the other person's point of view, it inherently makes them more receptive to our point of view, which makes it much more likely that we will reach a consensus, or that we'll be able to convince them to come over to our way of thinking. Try this next time you have a debate with someone. First, ask to hear their perspective and listen without saying anything. Once they have finished, ask a follow-up question to find out more about their opinion. And then, after they've answered your question, either ask another follow-up or go ahead and summarize their opinion and ask for confirmation that you understand correctly. This summary might go something like, so if I understand correctly, you would like to send an email notification to the group every Monday because that's the easiest way to work it into our current workflow. Do I understand correctly? After they confirm that you understand correctly, then go ahead and present your point of view and why you feel that way. This helps to disarm everyone involved and make them feel less like they need to fight for what they believe in. So those are my 3 or 4 tips for active listening. Virtually every book on the shelf related to leadership, communication, conflict resolution, and presentation has a section on active listening, so there must be something to it. I would urge you to try active listening for yourself to see the benefits. And if you'd like to read more on the subject, there's a book called Simply Said by Sullivan. I'll put a link in the description. It goes much deeper into the discussion of active listening and several other topics that are really useful to communication, and it's a great read. That's where I'm going to wrap it up for today, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, hit that unlike button. And make sure to subscribe to get more videos like this one. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.